Well, hello again. Welcome to today's edition of My View from the Pew. I'm Rodney Blockett, and as always, appreciate you stopping by the channel. I know it's been about a week since I've posted anything. Lots going on. We made a trip, I guess, up to Arkansas to see my wife's mom, and took all the kids and grandkids and great-grandkids, and so good time there, but a lot of activity, as you might imagine, with I think it was 10 people all total, four under four, so they have lots of energy. I do not. So, but anyway, great time for that. So, channel continues to grow. I think we're closing in on maybe 1,500 subscribers, close to 2,000 maybe. So, for those who have subscribed and liked the videos, thank you. Would love to have more on that, and would love to get some feedback from you just on what you'd like to hear or what you'd like to see in a video. So let me know. We'll be glad to do that. Do have some interviews with some interesting people lined up over the next few weeks. So stay tuned for that. So looking forward to being able to share some interesting stories, kind of behind the scenes on some things that you may or may not have known from really interesting and brilliant people from around the country. So stay tuned for more on that. I will let you know as those become more, get closer, I guess. So today's episode is a little, well, I would say a little strange on all my episodes, but a little timely, I guess. And you can tell from the title, methinks you protested too much, which was an old saying, many years ago, but just seems like for right now, everybody is protesting everything about everything. It doesn't matter what it is. When you turn on the news, you get on the internet, you look on Facebook, anywhere you see somebody's mad about something. People are posting things on social media, these big long rants that that's going to change. It kind of always reminds me a little bit on a lot of these protests of when I used to play basketball and the officials that were in there, and any sport. If you think about it. So when an official makes a call that you don't like one way or another, there's always that person in the stands that is just yelling at the official and just yelling, I can't believe you made that call. Can you need to, retire in what you're doing. That was a foul. That was out of bounds, whatever the call is when you have that. And I've noticed over the years, and I'll be 60 this year, I've seen the officials 0 times go, oh yeah, I didn't realize that you had that point, that you were yelling so loud. I didn't realize I should change that call. So I'm going to stop the whole game and change that and give the other people. Never happens that way because typically whenever you are protesting in a loud manner, the more you protest in a loud manner, the less you are able to get your cause across or get your message across. We learned that at a young age. Just when you're little and you're yelling a bunch doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get your way. But it seems like we've taken that to a whole new level of protests. Again, whatever it is, we're going to meet up at this location and we're all going to yell. We're going to hold our signs up and yell real loud, and that'll do it. I think of the ones, the colleges, some of the colleges, we're going to do all this until another country, which is thousands and thousands of miles away, changes their policies on doing this. Or we're going to do this until, the president or until our senator or whatever changes this. And this is never going to happen, So, if you want to protest, do it with your pocketbook, do it with your feet, do it with the things that you can make a change. And, I look at the whole thing with the Bud Light thing a few years back, and, the protest was I'm just not going to buy it anymore. And their sales dropped dramatically on a particular beer because people just said, my protest is I'm not going to pay for it anymore. And you see that with stores, people would get mad at one way or another, and they're just like, well, I'm just not going to do that. But I didn't see anybody outside, Anheuser-Busch headquarters yelling and yelling and yelling, thinking that would solve the problem. It was, I'll just do it with my pocketbook. I'll just do it by not going to that store. I'll not support that person. I'll not go onto that website. I'll not do whatever. So it kind of amazes me anymore. Again, back to my old saying, maybe I'm just getting old and grumpy, but of the people who will spend their time, get off work to go down somewhere just to yell and scream about something that is probably never going to change, or that's not going to change it. Figure out a way to make a positive change and figure out what you can do to effectuate that change in whatever you're wanting. So, my advice for today would be maybe, when you're upset about something, if you don't like a certain policy, a certain product, whatever, find a ways that if you just don't like it, just don't like it, don't watch it. We hear that from podcasters, from other people. It's like, if you don't like my channel, just don't watch it. That's your way of protesting. I would suggest you do that. You don't buy a product, you don't go to a particular store if that's your way of protesting. But standing on the corner holding your sign, yelling real loud, is probably not as effective as you think it is. So that's my thoughts for today on protesting. That's why I think maybe you protested too much. Anyway, appreciate you stopping by. That's my view from the pew.